Hey everyone, Halex here, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got something a little bit closer to my core content that I do mostly over on Twitch, and I'm just going to be talking about my thoughts on the current Destiny season and what I would like to see from the new expansion coming up over in November. And I wanted to wait until enough time had passed to actually let the season sink in and experience all the content. And I'm going to be honest right now. There's not much of it. Let's be honest. Season of Arrivals introduced a public event, which, yay, I guess it's literally Gambit Light. Thank you very much, Bungie. I hate it. And they gave us a new dungeon, which admittedly is actually really cool, but for some technical issues is going to be going away after this season, which really sucks. But they did say we will be getting it back later this year, so that is also good to hear. And then they also gave us one weekly replayable story mission, which is pretty much almost the exact same thing every single time. Where do I even begin? The bulk of the content for this season is basically you go back and you replay all of the content that you've been playing for the last few years. And there's just no real incentive to it other than playing the new content, which... I'm going to say this right now. Forcing your players to replay the same content years and years over again is not good game design. Especially when you're not doing anything to change up the formula in any meaningful way anyway. What do I mean by this? For new light players, you probably won't feel the effects of this just yet, but for us veterans, we've been playing the same strikes basically, the same story missions, etc., and we've been doing this for years on end now, and they're just not really doing anything to shake up that formula. And instead of, with each new season, giving us something new to do, they're basically forcing us to spend countless hours redoing all of those same activities just to access the few bits of new stuff that they actually bothered to give us. And it's getting kind of stale. I mean, back when Activision was still around, we sort of blamed them for most of Bungie's shortcomings. But now Activision isn't in the picture anymore, and I get that they lost a lot of development power in doing so. And of course, there's a whole Rona thing going around. But the lack of content is kind of a joke. I mean, honestly, the Seraph Towers from last season was basically just the Forge. And this public event, which is... I can't remember what it's called, honestly, because I try to avoid doing it that much. It is basically just Gambit. And that's a whole another host of issues right there. Seeing as people don't actually enjoy Gambit. It's actually now I'm thinking about Gambit. Gambit in its own design is kind of nice, but they just let it go unsupported for so long. And then they came out with a whole bunch of new modes. Gambit Prime, you got the Reckoning. And they just didn't support those either, so there's little point to actually play Gambit. And basically, instead of actually fixing Gambit, they gave us mini Gambit. And I don't know, that doesn't sit right with me. And before some people say in the comment section, well, hey, didn't you use the Forge glitch to actually get your power level up? Yes. Yes, I did. Do you want to know why I did that? Because I have been playing Destiny for so many years now. And doing the same monotonous grind, replaying the same strikes, replaying the same missions over and over and over again, is not fun. It is not engaging content. Like, for most of this strike I've got going in the background, I'm pretty much just, I don't know, speed running it? I'm trying to run ahead of every enemy that I can, because I've done this strike so many times, I don't even have to worry about most things. I can just run straight past most enemies. And that's a whole nother issue, actually. The strikes. They really need to start coming out with more strikes. When Forsaken launched, they only gave us a couple extra strikes past what we had in the 4-man campaign. I think it was like 2 or 3. And then we had nothing until... what was it? I want to say Shadowkeep introduced 2 more. I think it was one on Io, and then there's that one on the moon. And then if you were also on Xbox or PC, you finally got access to the Broodmother strike. So technically 3 for most of us, but 2 for everybody else. And it's pretty much the entire last year we haven't gotten any new strikes. That's got to change, honestly. That has to change if you're going to start keeping the PvE player base, because eventually we're just going to get so bored that we're just going to go find something else to do. And I don't think Bungie honestly realizes that they have to actually keep making strikes. Even if it's just 1 strike per season, I think that'd be fine. That would honestly be fine. You could just make 1 strike and you could have it, I'll say about halfway through each season. That would give you plenty of time to develop it. But apparently that is too much work, and they refuse to do it. Alright, so I pretty much started... I've ranted about this last season enough. Personally, I don't enjoy it. And I'm probably not going to be playing much of it until Solstice of Heroes arrives, just to get that flex gear. That's pretty much all Solstice armor is to flex on everybody else. So instead, what I want to do is go ahead and start talking about what I would like to see from Beyond Light. First off, more than 2 strikes. For the love of God, more than 2 strikes. You don't have to just give us all the strikes at once. I'm not saying that. Even if it's 1 strike every few months, like say we get 1 strike in November on the launch, then we get another strike over in, say, I don't know, December. Just something to keep the PvE refreshing. Because just replaying the same strikes, I cannot tell you how many times I get the Hollow Lair every single time I load up the playlist. It's just not fun. What you need to do is introduce more strikes and better mechanics for said strikes. Secondly, balance PvP. I understand that they took out skill-based maging, but it's kind of a lawless wasteland right now, one that I can barely force myself to trudge through. I honestly do not want to go into it because that is a whole video in and of itself, so I'm going to keep moving on. Next thing is Gambit. You need to update Gambit. You need to do something to bring some more life into it, because that is the one game mode that pretty much nobody wants to play. So you need to fix that. Alright, so next thing we definitely need is a better story. Shadowkeep was nice. It gave us the pyramids and a lot more interactions with Eris than we had previously. But it was like 4 missions. You could finish it in like 2-3 hours, and it was just not fun. And that was kind of disappointing, because you're mostly just grinding for certain pieces of armor, and then bam, you're at the pyramid ship, and there's no climactic battle. You're basically just fighting old enemies that they pretty much just threw at you again. Honestly, now I'm thinking about it, that final fight in the Shadowkeep mission is a video on itself. I'm actually running out of time here. Last thing, for the love of God, Bungie. If you bring back the Vault of Glass and Chatterwhite is not in there, just do not bring it back. Sorry, I kind of missed that shader. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. Honestly, just balance Gambit, more than 2 strikes a year, and make the story a little bit longer than just like 4 missions. That is pretty much all I ask. As for this season, I don't really have anything to say about it. I do not enjoy this season. It is rushed. It is very dull, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty dull. They're forcing us to replay most of the content just to get access to pretty much the only fun thing about the season is the dungeon, which is going away at the end of this, and granted we're getting it back. But at the same time, there's no real reason to do anything else but power grind and then go through the dungeon. There's little reason to actually play this season, and it's disappointing. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off here. You all have a wonderful day. It was great talking to you. You have a great night, everyone.